right, so today what we're gonna do is talk about polygons. I think the majority of what we talk about today is things that you've done before, so this hopefully will be a review for you. So we're gonna talk about polygons, and a polygon is a word, it's a Greek word for many angles. Okay, so if we look at this polygon right here, it has 6 sides, so what's that called? Do you remember? 6 sides is a hexagon. Very good. Now, one of the things that they could ask you to do today is they could ask you to name all of the vertices. So that would be like, maybe our internet is bad today. So anyway, the vertices are where all the sides intersect. If they asked you, which they won't, but if they asked you to name the sides, you would name all of these segments, okay? So that is for that polygon. Now another thing, if they asked you to name the polygon, you would just start at one point. It would not matter which one you started at. And say I started at K. I could go counterclockwise and name all those letters. So I could say K, J, H, G, M, L. Or I could go clockwise and it would be K, L, M, G, H, J. So when you go to name it with the letters, it doesn't matter which letter you start with, and you can go clockwise or counterclockwise, okay? So one of the things that we have to talk about is how do you know if something is a polygon or not? And to do that, I think what I'm gonna do is just talk about how it can't be a polygon. So a polygon has to be closed. If you notice here, there's no openings in any of these. This is an example over here, this one, where it's open, and that would not be a polygon. A second thing about a polygon is all of the sides have to be straight lines. So if you notice, this one has curved sides, so that is not a polygon, okay? So if we look through this list of things that are not polygons and talk about why they're not, this first one here is not a polygon because it's actually 2 polygons. It's 2 triangles. This one here is not, why? Curved sides. This one we talked about is not closed. This one has curved sides. This one is not because of this extended side. That's not part of the polygon, that's why. And this one again, because of the curved sides, okay? Now one of the things that they're gonna do today is ask you if a polygon is concave or convex. And there's many different ways I could explain it, but what I think is the easiest way to tell is if something is concave, it's going to cave in at some point. So if you notice here, this would be a triangle, but then it kind of caves in right there. Another example of something that caves in is maybe that side kind of caves into the middle. It could be concave, can even be something like this, where it caves in, okay? So concave, it caves in to the middle. Now, you guys are gonna get a cheat sheet, which I have to print out, so I will do that later today. And that cheat sheet is going to have this diagram on it right here with the sides and what the polygon names are. So our book asks us to know the names of polygons with 3 sides all the way to ones with 12 sides. This is on your cheat sheet that you can use on your test, so you don't have to memorize these, but you just have to know where it is in case I asked you on the test next week, what is the name of an 11-sided polygon? It's a hendecagon, okay? 3 sides is triangle. 4, the general term for 4 sides is quadrilateral. 5 sides, I think you all know as pentagon. 6 is hexagon. 7, I'm not sure if you know, but that's a heptagon. 8, I think you know, is an octagon. 9, maybe not, that's a nonagon. 10 is a decagon. 11 is a hendecagon. And 12 is a dodecagon. Now, if you notice down here, they say if something has n sides, you can call it an n-gon. What that means, anything bigger than 12 sides, okay, anything bigger than 12 sides, you can name as, let's say I said to you guys on the quiz, what is the name of a polygon with 246 sides? It would be called a 246 gon. Okay? Any polygon bigger than 12, you can name that way. On the quiz though next week, if I said, what is the name of a 12-sided figure? You can't name that as a 12-gon because we have specific names that they want us to know. Okay? So let's go to this page right here. So another thing that we're going to talk about is an equilateral polygon and an equiangular polygon. So let's talk about triangles. Okay? If you have a triangle that is equilateral, lateral means sides. Okay? So that means that polygon has equal sides, and it would be all of them. So a triangle has 3 sides. All 3 of those sides would have the same amount of dashes on every single side. Can you shut your math book, please? Then if we go to equiangular, we have where angular obviously means angles. So you would have all equal angles in the polygon. So that means every angle would have the same amount of arcs. Okay? Now, how our book does it is it asks you, is a figure regular or irregular? For something to be regular, it has to have, okay, say I did a hexagon. And I said, is this regular or irregular? For something to be regular, it has to be equilateral and equiangular. What that means is every single side has to be congruent. Every single angle has to be congruent. So we could have a situation like this, where I only have 5 congruent sides, then it's not regular, okay? Let's say all 6 sides were congruent, but I had something marked like this, and one of my angles wasn't marked the same, then it would be irregular. So every single side and every single angle. They may just make one of the angles with 2 arcs instead of 1, and that would make it irregular. Then let's look. So this is one of the types of questions you guys are going to have today. It says, name each polygon by its number of sides. So what that means is it a hexagon, octagon, nonagon? So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides, which would make it a hexagon, okay? The second thing that we have to say is it convex or concave. I always think about, does it cave in? Does this one? Doesn't it kind of cave into the middle? So that means it's concave. Then for it to be regular, every single side has to have the same amount of dashes and every angle has to have the same amount of arcs. Is this regular? No, because these two have 2 arcs, this one has none, and those two have 1. So then we say it's irregular. So it's just IR in front of regular. Okay. Now let's look at this one. And this again asks us to name it by the number of sides. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what kind of a figure? Octagon. Then does that one cave in at all? It doesn't, right? So then that one would be called convex, because at no point does it cave into the middle. And then if something has 8 sides, all 8 have to be congruent. If it has 8 angles, all 8 have to be congruent. Does it look like they are? So this is regular. Okay. Now, do you guys remember what the general term of a 4-sided figure is? Yep, so we don't say rectangle, we say quadrilateral, okay? And then, does that cave in at all? No, so it's convex. And are all the sides congruent and are all the angles congruent? No. These sides have 1 arc or dash, those two have 2. So it's irregular. Now, I can tell you guys that D is on your test that's coming up, okay? And one of the parts of this, a lot of kids get wrong, so make sure you pay attention. So first of all, count how many sides there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is a decagon, okay? Does this one cave in? Yes, right? Doesn't it cave in, right? So this one is going to be concave. Okay, what do you think about this one as far as regular or irregular? Most kids would say regular, okay? When something is a decagon, that means all 10 sides have to be equal and all 10 angles have to be equal. There are 10 sides that are all marked congruent, so that's great. But here's why this is actually like a trick question. This, that, and those 5 angles are congruent. But what about the other 5? And you might look at that and be like, well, where are the other 5? This would be an angle. This would be an angle. This would be an angle. That would be an angle. And that would be an angle. And all 5 of those are angles that are congruent, but they're not congruent to the original 5. So because of that, it's irregular. And like I said, that question is on your quiz or test next week or the week after. This one has 6 sides, so it is a hexagon. Does it cave in at all? Nope, so it's convex. And then does it look like all 6 sides and all 6 angles are congruent? Yeah. So this one is regular. Okay. Now, when we go to this page, I was telling you guys that I have a cheat sheet that I should have printed and I forgot to. It is going to have not only this, this on it, okay, but it's also going to have these formulas right here on it. So that is something you will have for your quiz, okay? So what we're gonna talk about next is perimeter of these polygons, circumference, and area, okay? Perimeter is the distance around. So if you were finding the perimeter of this room, you would just, and it would be better if the room was completely rectangular, you would just find the perimeter of the four sides and add them together. If you have a circle, we call that same thing circumference, which is the distance around the circle. And then area would be like if we carpeted our floor, how much square footage do you have? So here are formulas, okay? In the first one, they talk about a circle. Do you guys know that if you are given the diameter and you want to find the radius, you divide by 2? And if you're given the radius and you want to find the diameter, you multiply by 2, okay? So as far as which of these formulas would we use, it depends what we're given. If we're given the radius, we use that. If we're given the diameter, we use that, okay? Square, you could do one of two ways. Squares have all four sides equal, so you could either do side times side, which is side squared, or you could think of this as length and this as width, and your area would be length times width, okay? Here's a rectangle, length times width. I'm quite sure you know that. Area of a circle. Now, an area of a circle, you have to use the radius. So again, if you have the diameter, you divide it by 2 to get the radius. And then that is your formula. And then triangles, there's a couple different ways we're gonna learn to find area of a triangle this year. But for this one here, they take 1/2 times the base, and then you're gonna have a perpendicular height that is gonna be drawn. The height has to be perpendicular. Sometimes you're gonna have a situation like this. Okay, and they will ask you to find the area of this triangle. When you do that, you need to know that it's just this part for the base. And the reason this is drawn out off to the side is that's the only way they can drop down a segment that is perpendicular. So that is the height out there, okay? So it's 1/2 base times height. All right, so now let's go to this last page and we're gonna find the perimeter or circumference and the area. So today's pretty easy. So first of all, perimeter, if you have a rectangle, do you guys know opposite sides are equal? So if that's 3.2, this is 3.2. If that's 2.1, this is 2.1. So for our perimeter, you just have to add around. So you would go 3.2 plus 3.2 is 6.4. 2.2 plus 2.1 plus 2.1 is 4.2. And you can just add that up on your calculator. You don't have to show work. Did you guys get 10.6? Okay, that is your perimeter. And all you have to do is punch that in, okay? For the area of this one, it's a rectangle and you do base times height, okay? So here's my base, here's my height. So the area is base times height. It is 3.2 times 2.1. What is 3.2 times 2.1?
6.72.
Thank you. 6.72. Do you guys know when you're doing area, you have to have square units? So this would be centimeters squared. Area is squared. Okay. Now, if we look at this, we have a circle, and they want us to find two things again. They want us to find the circumference, and they want us to find the area. Well, the circumference of a circle, if you look back, if you don't know this, since we're given the radius, you can use 2 times pi times radius. So let's go ahead and do that. 2 times pi times radius. And so we'd go 2 times pi times the radius is 3. Now, do you guys know in prior math classes, you may have used 3.14 instead of pi. We use the pi key on our calculators for this. So what you would do is on a graphing calculator, you would go 2 times the pi key is above this up arrow right here, and to get it, oops, I didn't want to do that, so, okay, so 2 times, to get pi, you go second, and then that up arrow right there, okay? Second and the up arrow. If you have a calculator from up here, or one that looks like this, the pi key is along the left-hand side, and it's the 4th one down, okay? Does anyone have a different calculator that you need me to point out where the pi key is? Okay. And then we would go times 3, and that is 18, and we're gonna round to 2 decimal places, so 18.85. And that is in square, or no, this is circumference, so it's just inches, okay? Now we're going to do the area of a circle. Do you guys know the formula for area of a circle? It's pi r squared. And our radius is 3, so we'd go to our calculator and we'd go pi times 3 squared. So I would do my pi key times 3, and then I'd hit my x squared button. Did you guys get 28.27? And that is in square inches because we have area. Now when we look at this one, we have to find the perimeter or circumference. And if that confuses you, you find circumference if it's a circle. You find perimeter if it has straight edges, which would mean it's a polygon. So this would be a polygon, and we would find perimeter. And would you guys know that you would just add 9.5 plus 9.5 plus 10.2? So that would be, is it 29.2? Okay, 29.2 inches is the perimeter. Okay? Now, we're gonna do the area of that triangle. Do we know what the perimeter, or the area formula is? What is it? Times height, right? Now, if you don't like fractions, think of this as 0.5 base times height, okay? So, we have to talk about which here is our base and what is our height. The base is the side that your perpendicular height comes to. This is my perpendicular height. So do you guys get this would be the base? Okay. And then this is my height. All right. So what I do is I'd go 0.5 times 10.2 times the height is 8. Okay. 0.5 times 10.2 times 8. Did you get 40.8? Okay. and that is in square inches because that is area. Okay. Now we have a triangle. So again, when you're finding area of a triangle, you're doing perimeter. You only use circumference when it's a circle. We want the perimeter, you guys, of the yellow triangle. So you're gonna add 16 plus 5 plus 12. Did you get 33? And that is in feet. So the perimeter is of the kind of crooked triangle, okay? The yellow part. Now we have to find the area of that triangle. And the area of that triangle would be 0.5 or 1/2 base times height, okay? What do you guys think up here the base is? The 5, very good. What do you think the height is? 8. It has to be the perpendicular height, the straight up and down height, and that's the reason that is drawn. So this would be 0.5 times 5 times 8, which is 20, and that would be in square feet. Okay. Now, this last triangle, we have to do Pythagorean theorem on it. And the reason that we have to do that on it is because I am trying to find the perimeter of it, and to find the perimeter, I need all 3 sides. Okay, you can ask her. Did I do that last one wrong? Just a little, okay. All right, now if we look up here, you guys, what's gonna happen, and you did Pythagorean theorem a little this year when you were finding distance, but we always found this distance, and I just wanna caution you, because you don't always find that. But in this problem, we have to find the diagonal, and the diagonal is our C all the time. So we're gonna find C, this is our A, and this is our B, or vice versa. Doesn't matter A and B, C is the diagonal across from the right angle. So I'm gonna go A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Remember, A and B are the 2 legs that are right by the right angle. So that is 7 squared plus 7 squared. And we are looking for the diagonal, which is our C squared, okay? Now, when you guys do 7 squared plus 7 squared, I believe you're gonna get 98. And then what do you have to do? Yeah, you have to square root. So on this calculator, we go second x squared of 98. Did you guys get like 9.899? So what would that round up to? 9.90, very good. 9.90 or 9.9. That just tells us this, okay? Now I still need to find the circumference, or the perimeter, and I still need to find the area. So my perimeter, wouldn't we just add 7 plus 7 plus 9.9, right? What was it? I think you were right, what? 23.9. And that is in centimeters. Just adding a round there. Now we have to find the area, which is 1/2 or 0.5 base times height, okay? And when you guys go to do this, how do I know which one is my base and which one's my height? Yeah, so this is your height because it's perpendicular, so this is my height. And the base is the side your side is perpendicular to. So this is my base, this is my height, okay? So it'd be 0.5 times 7 times 7, which is 24.5, thank you. And that is in centimeters squared, okay? And then your assignment for today is this. Okay, one thing you guys, if it says area, please show the formula or use substituting in. So what I mean by that, if you're doing area, I would like this line where you're substituting in and then give the answer. Perimeter you don't have to show word for, but area I would like you to. Okay? Easy today?